For 6 years, my parents only saw me in a black uniform, holding a tray. They built their cleaning empire, Fresh Start Solutions, from the ground up, and by the time I turned 18, they had a mansion, luxury cars, and 2 other children with executive titles. My older brother, Daniel, was the heir apparent, vice president of operations with a corner office. My younger sister, Chloe, headed marketing. And me? I was the live-in help. I was Isabella, the daughter who got a feather duster instead of a diploma frame, who served coffee at their board meetings rather than contributing to them. My pay wasn't in a salary, but in the privilege of a roof over my head. My recognition wasn't a promotion, but a dismissive, "That's just Isabella, our little helper," whenever their important guests glanced my way. Their neglect wasn't born of poverty, but of a calculated hierarchy. I saw the business up close, every client complaint, every inefficient route, every outdated billing system, while dusting my father's desk. At family dinners, where they discussed expansion over steak, I ate leftovers in the kitchen. Some people are born to lead and some are born to support, my mother would say brightly, as if this were a universal truth and not a family arrangement. I graduated business school online, summa cum laude, with a degree they considered a nice hobby. They never attended the virtual ceremony. That night, I was polishing silver while they hosted a party for Daniel's much smaller promotion. The breaking point came in 3 distinct layers of humiliation. First, at a garden party for potential investors. As I circulated with canapes, a venture capitalist nodded at me. "And what's your role in the company?" he asked kindly. My father laughed before I could open my mouth. "Oh, that's just Isabella. She keeps the home fires burning for us. No head for figures, this one." The guests chuckled awkwardly. My face burned, but my smile remained fixed, a skill I'd mastered. Second, the theft. I'd spent my rare free hours developing a concept for an app, a streamlined platform that could manage scheduling, inventory, and client communication for cleaning services. I left a notebook with my sketches and code architecture on the kitchen counter. A week later, in a family meeting, Daniel presented his groundbreaking idea for a Fresh Start digital interface. The slides were my sketches, verbatim. My parents beamed. "That's our boy," my father boomed. I stood in the doorway, a fresh pot of coffee in my hands, completely invisible. The final layer was the planning meeting I overheard from the hallway. They were preparing to pitch Daniel's app to their largest hotel chain that represented 40% of their revenue. "This is the future of our company," my mother said. I heard the rustle of my own notebook pages. That night, I didn't cry. I got to work. I had already been quietly building a real, functional prototype. More importantly, for over a year, I had been using my errand time for a different purpose. While buying my father's dry cleaning or fetching my mother's prescriptions, I would change in my car. Off came the maid's uniform, on went a blazer and trousers. I attended industry meetups, tech seminars, and networking lunches. I met people as Isabella Rodriguez, a business consultant specializing in service industry innovation. One of those people was Thomas Reed, the formidable CEO of Pinnacle Clean Tech, my parents' most successful and feared competitor. We'd struck up an email correspondence. He was fascinated by my insights into operational inefficiencies, insights gained from literally being inside my parents' business, cleaning it. He became a mentor, encouraging me to develop my app. He had no idea I was the help he sometimes saw silently serving coffee at the Fresh Start offices he visited. The day of my parents' big pitch to the hotel chain arrived. The conference room was full of suits and expectation. I was in my uniform, stationed at the refreshments table. My parents and Daniel began their presentation. As they clicked through slides proudly showcasing their revolutionary digital system, I watched the hotel executives look increasingly impressed. Then the door opened. Thomas Reed walked in unannounced. My father faltered mid-sentence, then recovered with a sycophantic smile. "Mr. Reed, what an unexpected honor." Thomas gave a curt nod, his eyes scanning the room until they found mine. He gave me the slightest, imperceptible wink. "Please, continue," he said, taking a seat. Emboldened, my father launched back into his spiel. "This proprietary technology is the result of 2 years of dedicated development by our top-tier team, led by my son, Daniel." "That's interesting," Thomas interrupted, standing. His voice cut through the room with calm authority. "Because the proprietary technology on that screen looks identical to the clean sink platform developed by someone else in this very room." He walked away from the table, past my parents stunned, and stopped directly in front of me. All eyes followed. "Everyone, I'd like you to meet the actual architect of this system. This is Isabella Rodriguez, CEO of the soon-to-launch Clean Sink Solutions, and my new business partner." The silence was absolute. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. Daniel looked like he'd been slapped. Thomas continued, "For the past 8 months, Isabella has been consulting with Pinnacle Clean Tech. Her understanding of this industry is unparalleled. Every innovation, every efficiency model your company has suddenly produced in the last year," he turned to my parents, "it was hers, presented to you on silver platters, which she apparently also polished." I set down the carafe I was holding. For the first time, I spoke in that room without being asked for a coffee refill. "It's true. I have time-stamped development logs, code commits, and design files for every concept in this presentation." I pulled a tablet from a drawer in the refreshment cart, a cart I'd stocked for this very moment. With a tap, I mirrored my own prototype onto the main screen. It was sleek, professional, and far more advanced than the mock-ups my family was showing. "This is CleanSync." My parents saw me as the maid. They never thought to look at what the maid was building on her laptop after hours. The hotel chain's lead executive leaned forward, his interest now laser-focused on me. "And this is available?" "Through our new joint venture with Pinnacle Clean Tech, yes," Thomas said. "Isabella will be serving as CEO." The word "serving" hung in the air, rich with irony. My father found his voice, sputtering. This is betrayal. She's our daughter." "I am," I said, meeting his gaze squarely. "A daughter who worked for 6 years without pay. A daughter whose ideas were stolen. A daughter who was told her place was to serve, not to lead. Consider this my resignation from that role." I walked out with Thomas. I didn't take the uniform off until I was in the elevator. 6 months later, CleanSync had secured the hotel chain's contract and 25% of the market. My parents' company, built on a crumbling foundation of stolen ideas and exploited labor, began to falter. They called, of course. They wanted to talk, to merge, to put this family drama behind us. The script had flipped, and they suddenly saw my value. But I'd learned my worth wasn't a negotiation with them. I built my company with a different philosophy. Everyone on my team is paid fairly, heard respectfully, and valued openly. Last I heard, Fresh Start Solutions was downsizing. Daniel and Chloe had to find real jobs. The mansion was sold. The irony isn't lost on me. The empire they built by treating family like staff ultimately collapsed because they never recognized the real boss was the one quietly holding the dustpan. The greatest power isn't in a title given, it's in a worth you claim for yourself, even if you have to clean up everyone else's mess first to see it clearly.